we knew we were going to get a little bit of snow, and we sort of rolled the dice an hour before, and we were all sitting in the room together and we're like, yep, we're going to do it. We're going to go up the chairlift, take all the guests up. It's a big effort, but we thought, you know, it could be worth it if we get a tiny bit of snow. It'll be amazing.
You're listening to the Imperfectly Perfect Weddings podcast, a show that educates, informs, and entertains couples planning their wedding. I'm Brendan Creaser, a wedding photographer from the Mornington Peninsula, and I'm sitting down with wedding vendors to share stories of past weddings, to hear the lessons they've learned and how to make an impact on your day. Hello and welcome to this episode of Imperfectly Perfect Weddings. Today we've got the incredible Lachlan Gregory, or affectionately known Lockie, not even affectionately known, are you, mate? You're just known as Lockie from...
It's just known, yeah.
It's just his name, Lockie from Dust and Salt Photography. Lockie is an incredible landscape photographer. If you go back and look at his back catalogue, he's got some amazing images from all around the world as well. But now he's taking the wedding industry by storm, I think. And his little niche that he loves is elopements. So combining those landscapes with his incredible love and passion for people and connection, is just a downright awesome dude and an incredible photographer. Lockie, thanks for jumping on, mate.
Oh, cheers. Thanks for having me, man. What an intro.
It's a tough one to live up to, isn't it?
I
put you on the spot.
Yeah, I feel like I've got to deliver now.
Mate, I guess introduce yourself a little bit. Where are you from? And why weddings? What got you into weddings?
Yeah. So I'm based down the Mornington Peninsula. Actually, weddings for me was kind of fell into it a little bit, to be honest. I got asked to shoot a wedding down in Tassie, and I was like, I don't actually shoot weddings. I'm a landscape photographer. And they kind of convinced me to do it. And I was like, yeah, right, whatever, it'll be fun. And then, yeah, from there, it's just been a gradual slope. And after a few weddings, it kind of took off a little bit. And I decided to put them out on Instagram. And yeah, since then, it's just kind of blown up a little bit.
That's unreal. What a way to start. Tassie, tell me about that one, I guess, to start with. Where was that?
It was at T-Mag, the old museum down there. Super awesome spot. Yeah, I knew nothing about weddings. I just grabbed a 35 and went for it. But it was a beautiful day. It was really fun, yeah.
And did you know these people, or was it just some randoms that reached out?
They were friends of a friend, essentially. So a friend of mine was in the bridal party, and yeah, she'd seen my landscape work. I didn't really take portraits at the time at all. And she's like, yeah, that's the kind of vibe we want. And I thought, cool, all right, these guys, they're pretty chill. They're my kind of people. This could be fun.
That's unreal. And then elopements seem to be a big thing at the moment, or I know that you really, really love your elopements. I guess where does that love for the elopements come from? Is it from that landscape and kind of adventure that you love doing?
Yeah, I think definitely. Yeah, it's like blending the nature elements of a wedding and the outdoor elements, that sort of stuff. I love that. And blending it into however they want to have their day, whether it's an elopement up a mountain or even just a backyard wedding, stuff like that is really beautiful as well. Yeah, anything that embraces nature a little bit, I'm all about.
And I think in this post-COVID or current COVID world, but as we come out of it, those smaller weddings and more unique weddings will become a bit more commonplace too. So it's a fantastic place to get yourself in. Yeah.
And I feel like it's a nice time for couples that are looking into elopements or even smaller intimate weddings or backyard weddings, stuff like that. Yeah, this is kind of peaking time for that. So it's cool.
Definitely. I always say it's the perfect time for those couples that wanted a smaller wedding, but had pressure on them to have a big wedding. Now you just pull the COVID card. You say, hang on a minute, COVID, we're keeping the numbers down. So it's good for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And film, I was going to jump in. Oh, no, this makes for good podcast when everybody talks over each other. I promise. I promise.
You go.
Film as well. Film is a big highlight on your page. Is that, do you shoot solely film weddings or do you mix the two? What's the process?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mix at the moment. So I shoot solely couple shoots on film if they want it. But at weddings at the moment, I just stick to digital predominantly. But there's also that add-on if they want film or if they're into something a little bit quirky, a little bit different, shooting on 35mm or your 120, the old school medium format. There's just something beautiful about those cameras that's hooked me completely. After shooting with Joel from Barefoot and Bearded and getting hooked on that, the whole process of shooting film and slowing down and what you have to do. And I don't know, the technical elements, everything just kind of clicked for me.
Absolutely.
And I've really dived into that. Yeah.
And I remember, we're going off topic a little bit for this wedding podcast, but I remember Sy Moore saying that our minds and our brains and our vision it's kind of, it compares it to film. Film film video and film photography
Yeah.
is what we have this idea of that's a perfect photo. So in the digital age, it's like we're still seeking out that purity of the film
Yeah.
process. Yeah. So
It's kind of like we all know and love those nostalgic film images that we've been calibrated into seeing, those tones of portrait and the black and whites of Tri-X and stuff like that. That's just iconic and legendary.
yep.
And it's still available. They're still the same. Like, I find that whole process just totally beautiful and mesmerizing.
Yeah, it's addictive. I've only just gotten into it thanks to yourself and some others, and it is absolutely addictive.
Peer pressure. Get into it.
Now, for all those people that aren't photographers that are going, what is this Tri-X and film and all that rubbish? Let's move on. I want to hear some stories from you, Lockie. I want to hear what is the career highlight, the absolute legendary wedding that you've shot that you could do over and over? Yeah,
awesome. That's a cool question. There's like, honestly, every wedding has a thing. And I feel like finding whatever that thing is really important. It makes it special, even if it's not particularly my favorite wedding. Like, there's something about it that I love. But definitely a highlight for me is a Mount Hotham wedding, which I shot a couple of years ago now. I actually shot it on my birthday as well, which is even more awesome. And it was just, on top of a mountain. We took the chairlift up. It snowed the whole time. Totally up my alley. Like, we got out at sunset. The sun didn't peak too much, but we just had fun. We went out on a little hiking trail. Embraced it. It was awesome.
What time of year was it?
That was October.
And it's pretty late for snow. Were they expecting snow?
That's what we were thinking. So we weren't expecting snow. They were hoping for snow though, because they both actually live and work up at Mount Hotham. They're ski instructors. So their dream wedding was a snow kind of Disneyland wedding. They loved that element.
Yeah.
And I was like, if it snows, dope. That'll be crazy. Like, I've never shot in the snow before. And it snowed like more than
that's unreal.
Possible.
That's so epic. So you said you took a chairlift up. So where was the actual wedding? Up on the summit of Mount Hotham, or
it was at the Big D, which is their favorite sort of ski bowl up the top there. And we were kind of anticipating a bit of a view, which was going to be awesome, but it flipped on its head and we didn't get the view at all. It was just blanket whiteout snow.
Wow.
Which in turn was awesome. That was what they wanted. They wanted the snow element and they definitely got it. Like,
That's so epic. And you'd never really think of that October, especially in Australia. No. I mean, our mountains get snow, sure, but they're not consistent. They're not that
like
known for
it. Yeah, for sure.
That's unreal. And then further with that wedding, like, did they have a big party back in the lodge or something back in Mount Hotham then after that?
Yeah. So they did. They booked out a restaurant up there and sort of went back to that. But it was the day was kind of split in two. So we had the ceremony was like around midday-ish, went up there, and then we sort of came back, had a break, and they went to the fire station there, which they're a part of as well. And that was just like tea and coffee and chill out time for everyone to warm up, essentially. Like, you had to defreeze, man. It was proper. And then we sort of kicked the next part off of the day after a few hours break with the sunset session out of the mountain and then back in for reception. So.
Unreal. That's so cool, mate. That could I guess with the snow and everything going on, that could easily be what we're looking for with like what went wrong on a wedding. I want to hear that story then. What's a wedding you've been to that something's gone wrong?
Yeah, look, it's probably still that one, to be honest. Not necessarily wrong, but the forecast, we were keeping an eye all morning. We knew we were going to get a little bit of snow, and we sort of rolled the dice an hour before, and we were all sitting in the room together, and we're like, yep, we're going to do it. We're going to go up the chairlift, take all the guests up. It's a big effort, but we thought, it could be worth it. If we get a tiny bit of snow, it'll be amazing.
So what were you concerned about not going up? Were you worried that it was going to be bucketing down or just too much of a whiteout?
Bit of that, like whiteout wedding, I thought that could be really difficult if it's raining or snowing the entire time. That'd be really challenging as well, and not really enjoyable for the family and friends. So like the opportunity for photos would be really tricky because no one would be enjoying themselves. And the backup plan was going to be at the fire station, which for me wasn't a great backup plan. It was not the best lighting, that sort of thing. So I was hanging on the chance to get up the mountain.
Yeah.
But it just bucketed, man. It was -3 by the time we got up there, and it snowed consistently the whole ceremony.
Wow. Was everybody prepared for it, or did you have a couple of chilly grandmas in the front row?
Definitely some chilly grandmas and a chilly photographer.
Yeah.
They had prepared a whole bunch of blankets, which was so dope.
Okay.
And by the end of the ceremony, all the snow was covered all over the blanket. So it was just sick. One of my favorite shots is of this little girl just looking straight at me, laughing
That's
at
so
how
good.
awesome this whole environment is when
Wow.
everything around them is just blanketed in snow.
Yeah, that's so
I
cool.
don't know if I was totally ready for the snow.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be honest.
yeah.
I only had a jumper and jeans, man. So I was wet and cold for most of the day.
I love that. And I like that you obviously had a bit of padding in your timeline. And I think that's really important for most weddings and probably particularly elopements is building a little bit more padding into your day because the weather is in particular is so uncontrollable that you hate to be cornered. You know, if you had a 3 p.m. or a 4 p.m. ceremony and then all of a sudden that weather rolled in and it wasn't suitable, you know, the wind picked up or something, you couldn't get up the chairlift, you're kind of cornered then, aren't you? But you obviously had a lot of time up your sleeve.
Yeah. And that was, funnily enough, that was the best window that we picked.
Okay.
And it still snowed the whole time. So it got windy afterwards and it was cold. So yeah, having a little bit of room was nice. It was just the day that, you know, we couldn't control the weather. But to be honest, like at any wedding, I always tell couples as well, like just try and have a little bit more time. Give yourself more time at the end of getting ready. Give yourself a buffer before you have to race off to ceremony. After ceremony, give yourself another buffer just to mingle with your friend. And it means that you're never stressed and you're never going like rushing from one thing to the next.
Yeah, definitely. I've worked with some pretty strict timelines before and the couple are almost like, I feel like I'm constantly being pulled somewhere.
Yeah.
My expectation is being over here and then my expectation is being over there. And that adds that level of stress and anxiety on your day when really it's not what it's about. It should be kind of cruisy, like people working around you, your vendors communicating with each other, and then, having that extra time. I mean, what's the worst case scenario of having a little bit of extra time? What more time with your guests?
Extra drinks.
Have a couple of extra drinks. Oh no, what a travesty.
I mean, it's so true though. Once you've shot a wedding or two like that and you feel stressed and you can tell the couple are stressed, that's when you realize how important building a solid timeline actually is. Once you've sort of experienced it rushed and not so going to plan. And just having extra time, there's options for so many things. It could be a few extra photos. It could be some more time with grandma. It could be anything, grabbing an extra cocktail, like more time in the wedding. Essentially, it's just your time throughout the day where you're not rushing to the next thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going to pull you up there a little bit. Is there a microphone on your headphones? One at all?
No. Oh, maybe there is. No. Oh, maybe. Is that one?
Yeah, it could be. It's just rubbing on something. Is there any way of or turning it off? If you go to Zoom and then preferences and then
might be on the actual headphone. How about that?
Yeah. Move around a little bit. Yeah, that's heaps better. That's good. That's golden, mate. That's golden, mate. That's golden. I can hear you loud and clear. Nice one. This is what editing is all about.
That's it.
Fantastic. So I guess, look, that's 2 weddings in one, mate. I need to hear a third. So that's your favorite and that's your worst wedding. I want to hear what would be the dream wedding of an elopement photographer that's based in Melbourne. Let's say borders open up and you can go anywhere in the world. What do you want to be doing?
Oh man, there's so many options. To me, it's not one thing. I don't want to be shooting the same thing over and over again. Yeah. But having options, I mean, Tassie, Cradle Mountain, that would be beautiful. New Zealand, Wanaka, the mountains up there would be insane. Even city weddings and city elopements, it's a whole different element and a whole different vibe, but it's still adventurous and it's still beautiful. But yeah, like honestly, Blue Mountains, anywhere in Oz, we have so many incredible places to elope or to have a marriage or a wedding in Australia. And I feel like that's probably going to be in our ballpark for the next year or so. You know, overseas weddings might be a little bit further off than we actually want. So just hoping for a little bit of adventure if we can get it.
Yeah, I love that. And you're doing a little adventure session on the side that I've seen. They're kind of like an engagement shoot or a couple's shoot. And then that is just pure adventure. Get some portraits, have a fantastic time. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The idea behind that was I still do a sunset session as well, which is just like the 1 hour happy snap kind of engagement stuff. But the adventure session is like, that's the real couple shoot to me. That's where we've got some time. We can travel. We might do a sunrise one day. sunset one day and then wake up the next day camping and then do a sunrise session as well. We might hike a mountain or jump under a waterfall, like something just that's a little, it's like a mini holiday, I suppose, that's a bit more than just your 20-minute quick photo session.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's a real indication of where the limitations or there are no limitations on one, your wedding, and two, kind of some portrait photos that you can get. And I always try and ask people if we're booking in an engagement shoot or something. But the first question is, where do you love to go? What do you love to do? So, it's easy to get lost in this endless scroll of Instagram and be like, oh, I want to be on the Flinders Cliffs, or I want to be in some long grass and this and that. And you kind of go, okay, well, what do you love doing? And, one couple that I was chatting with and we were doing a wedding, they're like, well, we actually love going to an arcade. Like, fantastic. Awesome. If you love arcades, and if you grab, go on American, grab a soda and a hot dog or whatever and go to an arcade in the city, how sick would that be? So make sure
there's so much option. Hey,
there's so much option. And your photos and your wedding photos, like, it's not the photography show on a wedding day. I think we're there to capture what is naturally happening. And that's that real candid nature of our photography. And that goes one step further with elopement. It's capturing that connection with two people, but also where they are. And that doesn't make sense if you don't feel comfortable where you are. So the possibilities are endless, and the wedding opportunities or marriage day opportunities, as Barefoot and Bearded is pushing these days, it's really unrivaled, and there's no end to the possibilities that we can do. So I love it. I love that story. Mount Hotham, that is hectic. Lockie, thanks for jumping on, having a quick chat with us about your imperfectly perfect, although it sounds more perfect than imperfect, weddings. It's been a pleasure having you on. Check out his socials at Dustin Salt Photography, website as well, dustinsaltphotography.com.au.
Yeah, dustinSalt.com.au.
Nice one. That's good. I've got the AU
Thanks so
domain.
much for having me, man.
Absolute pleasure. All right. That's it from us at Imperfectly Perfect Weddings podcast. As I said, you can check out all of Lockie's stuff, and thanks for listening.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Bye.